Welcome on back, everybody, to another episode of some Building Big with Jerm. How's everybody doing today? In the last episode, we came out here and finally started working on this big city project that I've been wanting to do for literally, actually years. We got it started with these 5 houses right here, and I absolutely love how these turned out. And, of course, the town square right here. I don't know if we're going to be making much progress, if any, out here today, but I did want to start out here to show off what we did last episode, because, again, I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to get some more houses in here. Honestly, I mean, I just can't wait to get, like, a big chunk of it done. It's going to look so sick. And speaking of which, I have started laying out a little layout, a massive layout of a bunch of houses that we're going to have in this area. Every single rectangle here, every single different colored rectangle here is going to be a separate house. I think I counted them after I placed them all down, and this is like 30 different houses, which is kind of crazy. It's going to take a while, but I don't think that looks weird from here. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it looks. Last episode, we built a sheep farm over here, which I actually forgot to show the final product and how it actually even works. But we built up these sheep farms, which are designed by ENXO4, by the way. I forgot to mention that as well. But they're very efficient. There's 4 different pods. Let me go to free cam. See if this is a little bit easier to see this. Kinda. You can see there's 4 different pods, 6 sheep in each one, and they each have different colors. So this is red, that's white over there, orange and yellow, and then each one is a different color. So we have 16 of these all together. Honestly, eventually, I would love to do another, like maybe stack another chunk up top so we can get 16 more up above. I think that would be super nice. I don't know how this building that's going to be covering this is going to look yet, but I think we would be able to fit that in no problem. This isn't a very big thing. This is 9 blocks tall, so I think another 9 blocks on top of that wouldn't be a problem at all. We'll see. It's going to be a while before we get to that, like I said. But if you have any suggestions for what I can cover that in, let me know. I'm trying to do some factories in this area. I've already started designing a couple. I'm trying to like blend like the industrial look, like the, I mean, just what you think of when you see a factory. I'm trying to blend that with our like medieval kind of gothic style that we're going to be going for here. And it's really, really tough. But if you have any inspiration for that, let me know. Let me know in the comments down below or in the Discord. Oh yeah, another thing I did since the last episode is I built out another little road here. This is the palette we're going to be using for, whoops, forgot to finish that. This is the palette we're going to be using for like the alleys. This is kind of what I showed a little bit last episode. It's not too far off from the gradient in the last episode. A lot more coral, but basically going from deep slate to tough to coral. Mixing in with some mossy gobble there, and then we got some light gray terracotta into packed mud into a bunch of dirt variants. A lot of blocks. It takes up a ton of inventory space, but it's definitely worth it. Especially once we get all the other details in here and we get all these buildings in here. It's really just gonna tie this whole. It's just gonna make this whole area flow together. It's gonna be so nice. Check this out, though. I think I did show this in the last episode, but it wasn't connected to anything yet, so it didn't really flow very well. But we got this little staircase here that leads down into this tunnel, and then on the other side of this tunnel, just wait, we're gonna have an amazing view. If you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't seen my spoilers yet in Discord, maybe don't spoil yourself because it's gonna be worth the wait. I promise. I love what I'm planning out there. But that's going to take a while. It's going to be a couple episodes before we get to that. Big teaser, but you're going to have to wait for it. Later in the episode, we're going to be heading back out to the Magic Academy because I want to make some progress out there, and I've been working on something that I think is going to be pretty cool. So we're going to head back out there later. But before we do that, I want to tear up this old road, and I want to get this road connected all the way over to this road here. I know, probably not the most exciting thing, but I think it's going to look really nice once we get it in. So I'm going to get this old road torn up, and then we'll get started on placing in the new one. All right, we got a good chunk of the road filled in. I think we stopped about right here. I think right about here where I'm standing now is where we stopped before. And we got all this filled in all the way leading up to almost to that the start of the bridge over there. But I decided not to fill it all the way in yet because this area is going to change a lot. A lot of this grass, like this hill that I built up, is just going to be totally removed. We're going to have, well, we'll get to that some other time, but this is going to be a lot different. So I decided to just leave it for now. Got to do some more planning work out here anyways. So, but we are going to have, you can see this red line here. This is going to be about where the wall is going to come through. I think it's actually going to curve a little bit further this way, but get the basic idea. We're going to have a big city wall coming through right here. And right around here is going to be the city gate. I guess we'd call it the main city gate. I don't know, but yeah, we're going to have a big city gate right here, which is going to be really cool. But I think that's going to be, again, something we get to in the future. We're going to have to figure out what to do with this slime farm too. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to head back out to Raya Luceria, our magic academy, and we're going to get started on some other stuff. Oh, there it is. As the sun's going down, what a beautiful view. I haven't been out here in a little while, and it is really nice to be back. We still got a ton of work to do out here. Let's go ahead and sleep, though, really quick. Man, what a view. What a view. I think we're going to change it up a little bit today, though. We're going to be building a building right about there. And then I think, actually, we got a lot of stuff to do. Let's actually just get up there. Yeah, so we're going to be building this side of the academy today. We're going to be building one massive building over here, right over here on this side. I don't think this road is going to be leading straight to it. I think we're going to move this and have it curve a little bit probably, but it's going to be right around here. Not totally covering up the rest of the gap that we have here right now, but it will get pretty close. And then I would like to work on filling in this area here too. I don't think we'll build this. This is going to be a tower, I think. I don't think we'll build this today, but I want to do a big grand gateway right here and then have like some foliage on the sides and then do something nice right around here probably. And this is probably a long shot, but if possible, I would like to get some trees built up too. Like in the previous episodes, we built up all these trees here. We still have a lot more to go over in this section. So if we can, I would like to, but if not, I'm not I'm not holding out too much hope for that. By the way, if you haven't seen it or you need a little reminder, let's walk through this building that we did in the last, not the last episode, the episode before last. Because even though it was only 2 episodes ago, that was like 3 months ago, probably almost 4 months ago at this point. So it's been a while. Then we got this greenhouse over here, which I absolutely love, especially with the shaders turned on, because if you give it a minute, it'll start to just fill up with like this foggy, like this green fog, I think, right? Okay, there we go. It's starting to do it. I was on the wrong shader pack, I think. I had to switch to a complementary unbound. I don't know why the sun's on that side though. That's not right. But yeah, this, oh, I love this so much. This, I don't think this is the best build I've done, but this absolutely has the most atmosphere out of any build that I've done in this world so far. I love this. Check this out. Looking at the statues and the building in the background with just this green haze. I absolutely love this. This is so sick. Very framey, but super, super sick. But anyways, turn the shaders off because it's way too framey, especially with the Bobby mod. Oh, great. And it's raining. But we also got this little bee apiary area out here. And then I think underground, where is it? Yeah, right here. Right here, we have an actual bee farm or honey farm, and it is overflowing. Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and stock up on that. But all right, I think what I'm gonna do now, just to kind of ease my way back into the process of working on this area, I want to start filling this area out. I think we're gonna do a big archway right here, kind of leading into the school. We'll do some foliage on either side of this path here. And then maybe we'll do a little fountain right here in the middle here. So I'm going to get to work on that stuff and we'll be back in just a little bit. But before we get into all that, let's take a moment for a quick word from today's sponsor. If it's not obvious already, I love Minecraft. It's by far my favorite game that I've ever played. There are so many great aspects about the game, but my favorite is absolutely the ability to create any idea that pops into my head. But what if you wanted to do that beyond just Minecraft? Have you ever wanted to create your own games entirely from scratch? Well, that's where today's sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University, comes in. Southern New Hampshire University's online game development program gives you the knowledge and experience to create your own video games and help turn it into an actual career someday. You'll be learning how to bring characters and environments to life in both 2D and 3D, as well as creating dynamic and challenging experiences for your players with game AI. You'll be learning UI and user experience design while also learning all the 3 major computer programming languages. The courses are taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll have opportunities to connect with people in the industry. And when you graduate, SNHU will still be there to help you as you begin your job hunt. SNHU is accredited, nonprofit, and has radically affordable tuition, was voted one of the country's most innovative universities by US News and World Report. So if you're trying to decide what to do with your future and are interested in game development, go to snhu.edu/JermsyBoy, linked in the description and in the pinned comment, to see if you qualify for SNHU's game development program and to support the channel. Thank you to Southern New Hampshire University for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the video. All right, here we are. I got this whole thing done. The gateway, both the gateways actually. I guess I would consider this a gateway too. And then this little fountain area and the area surrounding this. And I think it's really coming together. I think it's coming together pretty nicely. So we got this fountain here in the middle, which I think looks really, really nice. I made use of these glass panes to kind of look like water coming out of these levers here. Using that up here as well. It's a little, I mean, you have to use your imagination a little bit, because obviously it's not like a flowing texture, and obviously it's not actually flowing over this. I think it looks good enough that it works. I've also used a few crazy blocks here. You may have noticed them already. One is the suspicious sand. Now this took me forever to get my hands on, but I was able to get some suspicious sand. I went out to the ocean, to some ocean ruins, and gathered some suspicious sand. And the way you do it, if you don't know, is basically you have to place 2 blocks of cobweb, and then you have to let the suspicious sand fall into that, and that will eventually pop into an item of just regular suspicious sand. You can't normally grab that. You can't like silk touch it or anything, so that's the way you gotta get it. So I went ahead and I got 5 just in case. We only needed 4, but I got 5 just in case we ended up breaking one somehow. But then probably definitely the even bigger one is lodestones. I absolutely love this block. I especially love the sound. Like that sound is so cool. It really is a shame that we can't get this in more abundance and can't use it more frequently, because it's such a nice block, and the top texture is so nice too. I think it would work really well with the smooth stone texture. So it's a shame. It really is a shame that we can't get it more abundantly, but we got 5 of them. Those ones up there I used as like the head, obviously, for these statues here, which I think look really cool. I really like how these statues turned out. All mossy, got the staff, like the copper staff that we've been doing for these guys and the ones that are inside the greenhouse as well. But okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is we're going to move on up to the main build for today's episode. I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. We got a bunch of materials to gather still. I got to get some quartz. I got to get some bone blocks, some more bone blocks, and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to get into that and we'll get this build started. Okay, we're at a pretty good stopping point here now. Let's take a look back and take a look at what we've done. Here is the front of the build, and man, I love this. I think this looks so sick. I'm using a few new techniques. Well, actually quite a few new techniques that I haven't been using in like previous builds, really. The biggest one is glass panes and walls. I'm starting to use glass panes and walls a lot more to just add a little bit more, like, for example, this roof right here, this would be, normally the way we would do this roof at this angle is like this, right? We do 2 full blocks up and 1 over. Okay, I can't move for some reason right now. I'm having difficulties, but 2 blocks up and 1 over, basically just like this. I think that is about right. There we go, pretty much like that. That is the same angle. That's how we would typically do that. But for this build, and then for another build I've been working on that we'll see in a couple episodes, I didn't love that. That is just, it feels too bulky. It feels too, like, I don't know, not a good enough transition between blocks. It really kind of feels like it's just going up, bam, over, up, over, up, over, up, over, rather than being a continuous slope. And I know it's kind of hard to tell with the background here, but I think you get the idea. Hopefully you get the idea. I'm just not loving that. At least for this style, this like gothic style, you kind of have to be really precise with all of these different shapes that you're doing, unless you're doing it on just like a massive scale. Now, don't get me wrong, this is big. This is pretty big, but this is about as small as I could get this style without losing any like important details. So using the glass panes, let's actually grab some of this stuff. Using the glass panes along with walls is kind of the perfect way to do this slope, I feel like. So you put a glass pane on one side, and that pulls out this like left side a little bit. And then you put a wall up like this, put another glass pane here, and it pulls it this way. And you do this, I mean, just like I did there, you do it the exact same slope as as what I did with the full blocks. And you get a pretty good slope. It's still not perfect. Like if we had vertical slabs, that would be the best way to do this for sure. But this is the closest thing we have to that. And I personally think it's pretty cool. Now also, if we had like the debug stick in survival, we could really get this slope like really perfect. We could get rid of like the rest of this half of the wall and just make like a perfect slope going all the way up. But we can't do that. We're in survival, so we can't use that. So if you do that shape and you use the right glass colors, like if I were to use like black, for example, in this, instead of, this is light gray glass. If I were to use like black, that would be way too dark and it would stand out a ton. If I were to use white, that would probably be too bright. But if you use, in this example here, I use light gray because it just adds just a little bit of shadow there. And it works really well with all the other blocks we're using, like the diorite and the white concrete and all the other white blocks that we got here. There are obviously some spots where you can see it, especially with the sky in the background. But from a distance, and I mean, just after running around here for a little bit, if you're not looking for it, it kind of just disappears, at least in my mind. And like I said, we got another build using this same technique coming up pretty soon here that I think uses it even better with some other block colors. So yeah, I love that. Also, the texturing. The texturing is a bit crazy. From a distance, again, it kind of just all blends together and it's not that crazy looking. But up close, you can see we got a ton of blocks in here. We got diorite, white concrete, calcite, smooth quartz, and bone blocks. And then, because the only white wall block we have is diorite, this is literally the only white wall block we have in the game. Even though we have all these other blocks, calcite, quartz, concrete, the only one we got is bone, or diorite. So I had to get a little bit creative here with the andesite as like the darker shade, and then sandstone for the lighter shade. And I think it works pretty well, especially from a distance. Like from here, it really all blends together and just looks like a big like gradient of colors there. And I think it's looking I think it looks really, really sick. Another thing I'm making use of is the new copper blocks. These are technically from 1.21, whatever that update's going to be called. But if you enable experimental features in 1.20.4, you can get access to these new blocks. And I think they make fantastic windows. especially on this smaller scale for like this small tower here. I like to, in this area, I was kind of trying to do like this oak framing for the windows, especially over there. And I think this block mimics that pretty well on this smaller scale. Now what I need to do is I need to do a bit more, well, actually I need to do a ton more work here. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to build out the cliff here a little bit further because this building is going to come out pretty far. So I'm going to build the cliff out and then I'm going to build up the rest of the building. And then we'll come back once we got that done. All right, the exterior of this new building is mostly done. Mostly. We're missing some windows and probably some foliage around the outside, but I think it's looking pretty sick. I love how this turned out. We got a lot of stuff going on here to talk about. So we did, like I was talking about earlier, we've used a bunch of this new wall trick, like all over this build. Okay, can I fly, please? Everywhere, all around the sides, even on this big tower up here. You can see it, I did it a little bit. And then up there as well. God, I love this build so much. This thing turned out really cool, I think. All right, where do I even begin? I guess let's start at the front door, which I still don't have the door actually built yet, actually physically built yet, but we'll get that in very soon. And you know what? I don't have a floor in here yet, so let's just go ahead and build out a little platform here so I can stand inside and take a look around. Let's go to the very center here. I think that's it. So you can see we got a ton of room for stuff in here. We got a ton of space, and I think I'm gonna leave it like fairly open. It's gonna be pretty open for the most part. We're gonna, obviously we'll add some inner walls, so that'll shrink it down a little bit in here, but I don't think we're gonna divide it up too much really. So this side over here, this is going to be where we store a bunch of mobs. So this place, this building here, I think I want to use it as like, you know how in a lot of people's worlds, they'll like gather all the mobs in the game, or, you know, all the rare mobs or something like that, and just store them in like their base or something. I think this school is like the perfect place to do a lot of stuff that you see in typical Minecraft worlds that are just like typical like Minecraft base stuff. So like, for example, gathering all the rare mobs. We're going to have a bunch of stuff in here. I don't think we're going to be doing any mob gathering today, but I do want to work out this interior over on this side. We're going to have a lot of the mobs here. I think we'll have 5 mobs. And one of them for sure is going to be the, what do you call it? The Ravager. I think the Ravager is going to be right on the end there. I think that'll be a pretty cool, a cool mob to have in the center. And then we'll have 4 other ones along this room as well. I don't know exactly what they'll be yet, but we'll get there eventually. But again, I absolutely love how this place has turned out. I mean, so many different blocks we've used here. We got tons of copper for the roof, and then mixing in the mossy stone brick there. This tower, I think, is so sick. I think this turned out really cool, using all the techniques that we talked about today. The new texturing style we're doing, those new copper grates for the windows. I used these birch fence gates here to kind of pull in these walls a little bit, to act a little bit more like a steep arch. And I think it looks pretty cool. I like that. I like that look. We got that. We got the wall trick up here. And then this roof here is made almost entirely out of walls as well. Yeah, I love this. I think this tower might be my favorite part of the whole build, to be honest. I mean, everything else is pretty sick, but this thing really came together really nice, I think. And then you may have also noticed I started building out a little bit of an arch there. This is going to be a bridge. We're going to have a bridge going across this way into another tower that's going to go all the way up to build height. That'll be something we work out in the future, of course, but I think that's going to be a really cool build. It's going to be very similar style to this one here, just to kind of keep that style consistent throughout the whole place. I think that's going to be a good idea to put that tower, I mean, a similar shape. It's not going to be the exact same all the way throughout, but it's going to be very, very similar, I think. And maybe we'll try to incorporate some of our new tricks, our new building tricks as well here. But okay, so last thing I want to do here before we end off the episode, I think I want to head in here and I want to work out some of this interior, not the entire thing, but I would like to at least get this hallway, the floor built out here, and then build out this room over here. Like I said, probably not filling it with any mobs today, but I want to get it at least built up so we can put them in there in the next episode. But I am pretty much out of all the materials that I'm using on this project. We're going to be actually using some new blocks as well, like some basalt, I think. So I'm actually going to have to head out and do a little bit more material gathering, but we'll be back in a little bit once I got that done. And there we go. The interior is done. Well, this side. This side still needs a little bit of work, but this side is done and it's looking fantastic, I think. I've been really, really loving like diving into this Gothic style and been studying a lot, doing a lot of research, and I think this place turned out as good as it could possibly be. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in here too. So first of all, the ceiling supports up there. I think this turned out so sick. This is based on some like a 3D model I found on ArtStation, and I think it turned out really, really good. Using a ton of jungle fences, brick or mud brick walls, brown glass, so it kind of disappears from a distance. So we can pull these walls like back and forth to get a smoother angle, like we talked about on the outside. Hoppers, copper, what are these called? Copper rods, trapdoors, stairs, slabs, all kinds of different blocks to get these shapes. And I think they really, I mean, there's a lot of them, so it kind of gets lost a little bit. Turn up the brightness a little bit. You can kind of see it a little bit better, but I think it looks really sick. Even if you can't really tell what's going on up there, I think just that detail up there is so nice. And then of course the chandeliers hanging from that. I think the shapes of these chandeliers turned out really, really nice. They feel pretty circular, thanks to the trapdoors and those, what are those called? Brewing stands. That really helped round out the shape quite a bit, I think. And there's two layers to the chandeliers. So we got the larger circle up there, then the smaller circle here. And then we got another little piece hanging off the bottom there. I think those turned out super sick. Candles all over the place. Got these like candelabras all over the place. But something I tried to really avoid in this area is repetition. Like obviously you kind of have to, with this style, you kind of have to do a lot of repetitive stuff. But I feel like I found a pretty good way to do that while also breaking it up, like making it all feel like it is repetitive and it is the same shapes over and over, but still making it feel varied and randomized in a way that doesn't end up feeling too busy. So one thing I did with these candelabras is some of them I have broken. Like there's just one chain sticking up out of the brewing stand here. Then there's some candles on the ground, like it fell over. Same thing over here. There's one just straight up missing right here. And then I think, yeah, there's just one brewing stand right over here. And I think that helps break it up just a little bit. Then of course the texturing, that helps a lot, of course. Then we got banners up here. This one's kind of just strewn across the middle here, going on kind of like a diagonal from that arch over there to that arch there. Not perfectly straight, so it looks, I mean, it just adds a little bit more character. Then this one here is like ripped. So you can see there's a little piece of it up there, but then the rest of it is just kind of hanging over the edge right here, which I think just looks so sick. I love that. These cages, these are going to be where we store some of the mobs, like we were talking about earlier. This building is going to be dedicated to storing like a bunch of different mobs that are in the game. And I think eventually we'll probably decorate them a little bit more depending on what is in them. Like this one, I think is going to be the Ravagers. So I added a little bit more of like a darker shade to the ground here. Like, I don't know, maybe the Ravager has hair and it's shed all its hair onto the ground here. I don't know. Just something to add a little bit more variation there. So we'll figure out whatever these cages end up being for. We'll figure out a way to decorate these as well. And then what else? This right here, we've got a broken window here in this, which is supposed to represent like a tree root. This is going to make more sense in the future, but I think a big tree root coming into the side here is pretty cool looking. I think I would like to do this a little bit more throughout the building as well as we decorate the rest of this place. I think that'll be a cool detail to add. Obviously, like I said, doesn't really make sense right now. We don't have a tree out here, but trust me, in due time, this will make sense. Okay, what else? We used basalt. We used a ton of basalt for the floors, which I think is a really cool look. I don't use basalt very often at all, but it is a really, really nice texture. This is just a checkerboard of regular basalt, and then I think smooth basalt, the one that you cook. You cook in a furnace. So it's a checkerboard of that, and it gives a really nice effect, I think. Looks like some kind of like dark marble or something like that, I think. And then of course the polished basalt for this checkerboard pattern here. I think the last thing though, oh, the carpet. This is I think a really cool detail. I didn't want to just have like a straight carpet going straight down the middle. I think just like making it curve a little bit to the side and like ruffling it up with the actual like carpet blocks is a really, really cool look. I think I'm going to try to use this more often in the future because I love how this turned out. I think it's so sick. Last thing I did here is this stack of books. This was inspired by Elden Ring. Something also in the Rhea Luceria Academy in Elden Ring. There's like this boss room at the very end of the, like when you get all the way through the academy, and there's just these massive stacks of books because it's supposed to be like a library, I think. And I tried to represent that here. It doesn't look the best, I don't think. But I think it's a good enough detail that I'm fine leaving it. And we got a lectern here in case I want to add like a written book documenting like all the mobs that we're gonna have in here or something. I don't know. But I think that is it. I'm sure there's something here I missed, but I'm pretty sure that's all the important stuff that I wanted to go over. I'm sure there's some stuff that I missed, but that's all we need to go over for today. I am extremely happy with the progress that we made today. I think this interior is beautiful. I love it. Also, entirely spawn proof, believe it or not. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. There's still a ton of work we have to do on this place. I'm trying to make sure there's no creeper or anything about to blow me up because it was just nighttime. But there's still a ton of work we got to get done on this place. But that'll come within the next couple of episodes. We got to fix up this exterior a little bit, add some more foliage, and fix the road, of course. I think one thing I would like to do is add a big custom tree right here. I think that'll be cool. But yeah, that is going to do it. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Let me know what you think of the build. Absolutely love it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.